So again, good afternoon to everyone. In continuation sa report on enterprise. So we will just continue the recording.
Help maintain the soundness of the banking sectors as bank would not exposed to the risk that lending too much companies which is posed in figure number 5. Bank
So
based small and medium sized enterprise financing and hometown investment financing to riskier borrowers. Sealing those regional trust funds through branch offices of regional banks, post offices, credit associations, and large banks would increase the funding sources for regional companies. Such trust funds would not be guaranteed by a deposit insurance corporation, and the associated risk would be borne by investors. The terms of a trust fund would have to be explained to investors, such as where their funds would be invested and what the risk would be. In order to strengthen potential investors' confidence and help expand the trust fund market. Example of such funds in Japan include wind power generators and musicians funds. In the in the example, to construct 20 main power generators, public-private partnership where lands and local residents invest $1,000 to $5,000 in a fund. They receive dividends every year to the sales of electricity by each wind power generator in which they had invested. Musicians funds gather many small investment to buy units for $150 to $500. If the musicians become successful and their music sells well, the sales will generate a high rate of return for the fund. A hometown investment trust fund has three main advantages. First, it contributes to financial market stability by lowering information asymmetry. Individual households and firms had direct access to information about the borrowing firms, mainly SMEs that they lend to. Second, it is a stable source of risk capital. The fund is project driven. Firms and households decide to invest by getting to know the borrowers and their project. In this way, the fund distributes risk, but not so that it renders risk intractable, which has been the problem with the originate and distribute model. Third, it contributes to economic recovery by connecting firms and households with SMEs that are worthy of their support. It is also create employment opportunities as the SMEs as well as for the pool of retirees from financial institutions who can help assist the project. And that's all. Thank you.
So, good morning everyone. Good day. I'm Novi Grace Coronel Badilla, your fourth reporter for today. So, our topic will be the continuation of the major challenges facing small and medium-sized enterprises in Asia and solutions for mitigating them. So in my report, we will be discussing the development of SME database and the credit risk analysis. So, in this topic, the importance of SMEs to many dimensions of Asian economic activity, further efforts need to be made to offer them access to finance. So their financial and non-financial accounts are often difficult to assess. But the Credit Risk Database, or the CRD, in Japan shows how SMEs can be rated based on the financial and non-financial data. So the CRD includes a large amount of data that can be used to rate the SMEs through statistical analysis. So, in this database provided by the CRD Association, it is a credit guarantee system that would make it easier for banks to lend money to SME. For example, assuming a credit guarantee corporation sets 80% as the guarantee ratio if an SME went into bankruptcy. So, a bank could recover 80% of its loan. So if there was no credit guarantee in their system in place and an SME went into bankruptcy, the bank would lose its entire loan. And then, so this is the figure 6 of the credit risk database of small and medium-sized enterprises. So member financial institutions use scoring models to evaluate credit worthiness, check the validity of internal rating system, and align loan pricing with credit risk. In addition, the CRD Association provides consulting services to support the management of SMEs, on the assumption that if SMEs are better managed, this will reduce the credit risk for member financial institutions and strengthen SME businesses operations. Consulting services have also been offered to member financial institutions to help them promote implementation. So if such systems could be established in other parts of Asia to accumulate and analyze credit risk data and to measure each SME credit risk accurately, SMEs would not only be able to raise funds from the banking sector, they could also gain access to the debt market by securitizing their claims. So as you see, it has the Credit Guarantee Corporation. They collect data from the SMEs and the financial institutions, and then the government support, reliability, security of information, and etc. So let's continue to SME credit rating. Sorry for that. So in the SME credit ratings, these are opinions expressed in terms of ordinal measures reflecting the current financial creditworthiness of issuers such as governments, firms, and financial institutions. So these ratings are conferred by rating agencies such as Fitch Ratings, Moody's, and Standard and Poor's. And also, it is to be regarded as a comprehensive evaluation of a insurer's ability to meet their financial obligations in full and on time. It play a crucial role by providing participants in financial markets with information for financial planning. To conduct rating assessments of large corporations, agencies resort to a broad range of financial and non-financial pieces of information, including experts' expectations. Rating agencies usually provide general guidelines on their ratings, decision makings, but detailed descriptions of the rating criteria and the determinants of bank ratings are generally not provided. So, in this figure 7, the classification of small and medium-sized enterprises, it shows that the main purpose of the developing a CRD is to create the infrastructure for improvement credit ratings for SME. So in this analysis, classified by SMEs into several groups, which is financially healthy SMEs, medium risk SMEs, and financially risky SMEs. It is a detailed analytical framework, and it is actually explained in the Yoshino and Tagizade Hesari. Okay. For the SMEs, in the financially healthy group, bank can lend them more money by charging low rates of interest with no required collateral. So on the other hand, for the SMEs in the higher risk group, banks can charge higher rates of interest with greater collateral for requirements. So if an SME's performance improves and it moves into a lower risk group, banks can actually change their interest rates from high to low accordingly. So similar SME data analysis is underway. So in this data analysis that it is well explained in the paper can be expanded to many other Asian economies so that more reliable credit rating of SMEs will become possible. So when the data are not well established, banks lend money to SMEs based on their intuition rather than examining solid data. So the establishment of SME databases will reduce information asymmetry between SMEs and lenders. So that ends for my report. Good day and good luck.
Okay. Thank you and congratulations to the 4 reporters. See, yeah. Yes, Novi.
Ma'am, kuha na Jacqueline Martizano. Ma'am, kay Jacqueline Martizano, ma'am.
Okay, I'll check, ha?
Okay po.
After Ani,
Kang Jacqueline
you mean
Martizano.
part 3? Part 3 na?
Yes po. Kang Jacqueline Martizano po.
Ma'am, nag-send si Jack sa imo ha, ma'am.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay lang po.
Binakulahe siya na grupo. Sige, and continuation.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jacqueline Martizano, the last reporter of Enterprise Study. The title of our report is Major Challenges Facing Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises in Asia and Solutions for Mitigating Them. R&D Tax Incentives. R&D tax incentives is the government's key mechanism to stimulate Australian industry's investments in R&D. R&D is often the first critical step in innovation. It drives technological improvements that lead to productivity improvements and increased economic growth. In addition to providing grants, contracts, and loans, Asian governments should contribute to business R&D through tax incentives. This is what is occurring in many Asian economies. For instance, the government of the Republic of Korea provided one of the most combined support incentives for business R&D as a percentage of GDP. Among Asian economies, Japan and the Republic of Korea give more generous treatment to SMEs relative to large firms. Some countries allow firms to benefit from tax incentives when they are not profitable enough to use them in the current period, but few do so a significant extent. Australia provides a tax credit equal to 40% or 45% of eligible R&D expenditure with any excess refundable for SMS. In this subsection, Jap- Japan is provided a new example of R&D tax policies towards large enterprise and small, medium-sized enterprises which is applicable for the rest of Asia. Japanese R&D tax incentives are volume-based credits for small, medium-sized enterprises and large enterprises. Small medium enterprises, a credit of 12% of total R&D expenditures. The tax credit is limited to 20% of the company's national corporate income tax liability before the credit is applied. The 20% limitation applies for fiscal periods beginning on or after April 1, 2012. Previously, the limitation was 30% of the fiscal years beginning on or after April 1, 2009 up to March 31, 2012. Now, what is fiscal year? A fiscal year is a one-year period that companies and governments use for financial reporting and budgeting. A fiscal year is most commonly used for accounting purposes to prepare financial statements. So next is the large companies, a credit of 8% to 10% of total R&D expenditures. The tax credit limitation is the same as the SMEs as outlined above. Additional incremental credits for both SME and large companies, either where the current period R&D expenditure exceeds. First, the annual average of the R&D expenditure for the three preceding fiscal years. Second, the highest annual R&D expenditure for the previous two fiscal years that the company may claim 5% of the incremental R&D expenditures, that is the current year expenditure less the amount in third, or where the current period R&D expenditures exceeds 10% of the average annual sales for the four most recent preceding fiscal years. Japan offers separates credits for small, medium-sized enterprises and large companies, as well as an additional credit for entities of all sizes. Next topic would be the collaboration on innovation. So collaboration is a key vector of innovation-related knowledge flows, both for firms that use R&D either internally developed or externally acquired, and for those that are not R&D active. In all economies for which data are available, R&D active firms tend to collaborate more frequently on innovation than non-R&D active firms, although in the Republic of Korea, manufacturing only, and Australia, both types of firms have similar rates of collaboration. Patterns of collaboration differ in terms of partners' characteristics. Collaboration with higher education or public research institutions is an important source of knowledge transfer for large firms. In most economies, these firms are usually 2 or 3 times more likely than SMEs to engage in this type of collaboration. More than half of all innovating large firms in Finland, Slovenia, Austria, and Hungary collaborate with these institutions, but less than 1 in 10 in Mexico and Australia. Collaboration is more frequent with other market actors, in particular suppliers and clients. Among large firms, suppliers play a key role as a value chains become increasingly integrated, while in Finland, the United Kingdom, the Republic of Korea, South Africa, and Iceland, collaboration with clients is equally or more importantly a potential indication of the growing importance of user-driven innovation. Next would be utilizing informations for small medium-sized enterprises. In order to teach the new methods of sales using the internet, it is possible that national governments, through the municipalities which are nationwide, or through societies of commerce and industry and chambers of commerce and industry, provide close mentoring style support for SMEs and small enterprises in each region, acting as primary care doctors. In Japan, the government planned that small and medium enterprises comprehensive support centers be established. These centers have the following 3 functions. First, provide comprehensive and advanced business advice that cannot be fully dealt by existing support organization. Second, offer support through organizing expert teams optimized for particular problems of prospective enterprises. And the last one is introduce appropriate support organization, one-stop services. The non-use of information technology has not only damaged SMS sales, but also made many SMS unfamiliar with the ongoing support available. For example, in a survey done in Japan, approximately 50% to 60% of SMEs and small enterprises responded that they are not sure about where they can obtain information on SME support measures. Approximately 50% do not obtain any such information. Only 10% have utilized SME support measures, but some 70% of those evaluate the measures positively. So with this, the SMS responses in this questionnaire highlighted the following concerns. First, a high percentage of enterprises hope to obtain information concerning the government's SME to support measures from SME support organizations and municipalities. Therefore, the government should actively hold face-to-face briefing sessions not only for prefectures but also for municipalities and SME support organizations at an early age. Next, approximately 50% responded that the amount of information concerning the government's SME support measures is inadequate. Those who responded that the timing of obtaining information is not timely accounted for approximately 50%, and those who responded that information is hard to understand also accounted for 50% approximately. The last one is, in light of these survey results, the government decided to endeavor to improve the direct message or direct consulting briefing services and the content of an email publications, and also prepare a video in which officials explain the content of the support measures, including their background and intended purposes, in an easy-to-understand manner and place it on an SMS agency portal website. Now, let's move on to the conclusions. SMEs face challenges from increased competition, the ability to adapt to rapidly changing market demand, technological change, and capacity constraints relating to knowledge, innovation, and creativity. For many SMEs, however, their potential is often not fully realized due to the factor related to their small scale. First is lack of resources like finance, technology, skilled labor, market access, and market information. Next is lack of economies of scale and scope. Third, higher transaction of cost relative to large enterprises. Fourth, lack of networks. Fifth, increased market competition and concentration from large multinational enterprises. Sixth, inability to compete against large firms in terms of R&D expenditure and innovation like product, access, process, and organizations. Seven, being subject to calming and instability. And the last one is lack of entrepreneurial zeal, capacity, and know-how. With this paper provided solutions for mitigating four major challenges faced by SMEs. The first one is three different methods for easing SME financing are by developing first is credit guarantee schemes by government, second private SME lenders, and the third is hometown investment trust fund for financing risky SMEs and startup business. Second, the lack of SME databases is another challenge for SMEs. Their financial and non-financial accounts are often difficult to assess. As a possible solution for other Asian economies, they, they provided the example of the Credit Risk Database or CRD in Japan that shows how SMEs can be related based on financial and non-financial data. The CRD includes a large amount of data that can be used to rate SME through statistical analysis. Third, the third major challenges for SME development is the lack of R&D expenditure. To mitigate this problem, they provided a variety of solutions. In addition to providing grants, contracts, and loans, Asian governments should contribute to business R&D through tax incentives. This is already occurring in many Asian economies. Collaboration is a key vector of innovation-related knowledge flows, both for firms that use R&D either internally developed or externally acquired, and for those that are not R&D active. And the last major challenge for SME develop is the insufficient use of information technology for sales. It is possible that national governments through the municipalities that are nationwide or through societies of commerce and industry and chambers of commerce and industry provide close mentoring style to support SMEs and small enterprises for teaching them how to use information technology in their business. And that would be all. Thank you.
Okay, so finally, yeah, congrats to the four reporters. It is very well presented and clearly discussed by the group. So as you can see in this enterprise study, they have different ways of presenting knowledge or research. No, they use also. My question to the four reporters is that can you mention any of those methods that they presented? No, for example, they use the graphs. No, so what else did they use in order to explain their result of the research. So anyone can answer. Yes, Novi? Okay, so since si Novi, wala kay mic, no? I mean, wala kay sound. So as you can see, doon sa mga presentation, you have seen different graphs, diba? And also models. Mga models sa mga different steps, no? Different, what do you call that? As mga what do you call that? Model, no? Model. And aside from that, they use the graphs, yung mga scatter graphs for their regression analysis to identify ano yung mga small scale, large scale, and their different, if you remember the graph, no? Yung mga taghang tuldok-tuldok. So those are, and lastly, their way of presenting data is through, of course, research, no, secondary research. So there are no mentions of interviews done, but they use secondary data, the internet, no, and all the resources, book, and authors for that purpose of their research. So do you have any questions? Some more questions, clarification? Ram, ready na ka mo kanta, Ram?
Hindi pa, mamay.
Sige na ra, ning kanta kay kaganina. So, 3 minutes lang man, grabe.
Sunod na lang, ma'am. Murag pagaw-pagaw ko ron.
Pagaw-pagaw pa ka sa lagay na yan. So, yeah, so dili man magpapugos si Ram. So, we have 3 minutes left. If you have questions and clarifications to the reporter, or do you have some more additional realization on this kind of report? How about Sarah?
None, ma'am.
Okay, so hopefully, no, your group, as I have told you, I hope you have formulated your group na kasi I remember last time that you want to have a new group. So that would be 8 groups lahat, no, and it should be divided very well kasi 38 man kayo. So with your group for your proposal presentation, I hope you will be ready and you choose as a group, you choose one research type and the proposal that you are going to propose for your thesis na in the coming year. So, but then you're going to present that after we finish all the reports. So we're almost done, I guess. And the next reporter natin ay group 5 ba? Group 6? So, ang Group 6 na, no? So, wala pa yung nag-send sa ko. Murag sa nag-send. Murag sa ko ang messenger gisend. So, I will just check again. So, may next
Group 6,
reporter
ma'am.
ba dito? Ha? Ram?
Kisay group 6, ma'am.
Ang next ata is, wait lang ha. Wait lang. Asa na to? So, but anytime cut off tayo ha kasi we have, we still have 1 minute left. So, tapos na tayo sa market, industry, special topic na lang ata, no? Enterprise, business research. Ay, dili, market study, feasibility, industry, enterprise. So, dili special topic. Ang sa pagani ang wala? Muna po ta sa techno-managerial, no? So, and then the last group is yung mga special topic. No? So, again, be ready for the next reporter. So, it is our last minute. Thank you very much for your attendance and for your continued learning and participation in the class. So I will see you again on Friday for the next report. Thank you again.